Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, or perhaps good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. I welcome you all to today's webinar. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. So please do something for me as people are coming in. Please join and share in the comment section your name and where you're joining from. Let me know your name, where you're joining from. I see you, Stephen, Abubakar Sadiq. I see you, Patty, Sister Ekwo, Patience, Olufemi. Please confirm you can hear me. For those who are on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to kick off on time. If you know me, hello, Mark. Mark from Abuja, thank you. Scholastica from Lagos. I see MM from England, Bukola from Canada. Oh, yes, my guest is here as well from Ghana. Chimoya from Canada. Excellent. Ezenwai from Lagos. Wow, this is truly a global event. Stella from Port Harcourt. Henry from Lagos. JP, you're in Nigeria, but where are you? Are you in Kaduna? Are you in Enugu? Oluwafemi from Lagos. Excellent. Welcome. Keep putting them out there. Bayami from the UK, I see you. Stephen, glad to see you here as well. BC, yes, so my home girl. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'm going to be acknowledging you as we go on. Oh, Edith, so great to see you. Edith from Lagos, Morenike from Abuja. All right, Audrey, get serious. All right, everyone. So welcome once again. My name is Audrey Joe-Ezigbo, as many of you know. And if you don't know me yet, well, thank you for honoring me with your presence today. I am an entrepreneur of 30 years. I work in the energy sector. But I am also a woman who is multidimensional, multifaceted, and God has given me an assignment as the impactoneer. And what He has told me to do with that is to help people get to the most profitable expressions of themselves and to build a community of kingdom-minded billionaires, people who are impact-oriented, that want to use the wealth and resources, the impact, the access, the values, the virtues God has given them to be a blessing to other people around the world. And so thank you for joining me. Thank you for connecting with me. Thank you for being a part of my tribe. Today, we're having one of our Now-4-Next webinars, and that is under the ambit of the ENDGAME, which is my bespoke coaching program for people who are between the ages of 40 to 60. We'll have that conversation on an ENDGAME specific webinar, but Now-4-Next is our webinar series that helps to share information and knowledge and build capacity in people to help them to then proactively navigate their now, their todays, to make sure that they have a profitable, fruitful, restful, and very, very valued next in the future as age comes, which it will to all of us. Today, however, for the first time, I'm having what I call the business edition of the ENDGAME Now-4-Next series. And that's because I find that within this ambit of the 40 to 60-year-olds, many times a lot of the people that I meet are actually entrepreneurs in themselves or perhaps aspiring entrepreneurs. And one of the things that has troubled me right from before I started my business in 1994, right up to having run it for 30 years with my husband and all the things that God has helped us to do, I'm troubled by the fact that there are so many entrepreneurs. As we know, most businesses, they don't even get to year 3. A lot of them don't get to year 5. And then if you manage to cross year 7, chances are that they may not make it to year 10, much less 20 or 30. And that has troubled me a lot. But at the same time, we also find that there are many businesses that while they have stayed and lasted maybe for the lifetime of the entrepreneur, the problem now becomes how to ensure that transgenerational element, how to hand over. And for me, if you follow me, you will know that when I think about businesses and legacy, I don't mean that it must go to your children. That's fine for some people, but I believe that building a sustainable succession business is one where you yourself can exit, and the value you have created is heavy enough for some other seasoned professional to want to come and take your vision and run with it. And these are some of the conversations we're then going to be having today. How it is that you can build something, grow it into something formidable, and then successfully exit. And as you exit, think about what you do with your next. Remember, we're talking about proactively navigating your now for your next. And so to help us do that, I have a guest that I'll be introducing soon. But very quickly, I just wanted to do some housekeeping. So yes, as you join on the various platforms, please share your information, name, and where you're joining from. We are going to have the platforms allow you to make your comments. So please, if you have any comments that you want to share, I will send a reminder out once in a while. If you are very convinced you want to speak, you can also send me a private chat, and I can bring you on the stage to speak. But we have a lot of people, so we might not have enough time for that. And then if we're not able to address your specific questions within the 2-hour window that we have, let me promise you then that we will try to respond to you later. In the course of today's session, we're also going to be running some polls, and I would really, I'm begging you, please, it's an appeal, encourage you to join. What this means, therefore, is that at some point you're going to go to menti.com and follow us as we engage in the polls, okay? So I think that's about it for now. Before I bring up my guest, I would like to do a very quick poll check-in. And so I'm going to share my screen, and what you will see on the screen is the QR code which you can scan, or the number which you can go to menti.com and log in and give me the one word for how you're feeling today and what your expectations are for today's webinar. All right, so I'm just going to share screen quickly and let's do that. Excellent. So once again, menti.com, the QR code is on the screen. You can scan it, or you can type in the number at menti.com 5125-7294. 5125-7294. I'm going to take us quickly into that. Please check in. How are you feeling today? Oh, I see 2 responses. Great. Awesome. I'm waiting. Can we let them start rolling in? Menti.com. If you missed the number, it's at the top of the screen. Again, you go to menti.com and type in 5125-7294. Great. Somebody's excited. That's awesome. So we're great. We're excited. We're awesome. Let them come in. I'm waiting to see your responses. If you missed what I said, if you're just joining, please go to menti.com. Oh, yes, somebody is feeling amazing. That's fantastic. I'm still looking for responses. We have only 4 people. Yes, somebody is, wow, amazing. I love it. Absolutely. Ooh, many expectant. Yes. Excited. You're feeling wonderful. You're feeling great. You're feeling awesome. Let the responses come in. Calm. I love it. Whoever said calm, you and I are on the same page. That's like my default. Okay, somebody is feeling awesome, excited, amazing. We're having a lot of amazing, wonderful, ready to learn. Thank you for whoever submitted that. Ready to learn. I'm still waiting. I'm going to give this another couple of minutes just to get a sense of the room. Cool. Somebody's feeling cool. I love it. Always great to feel cool. All right, one more minute. Somebody else. Thank you. All right. Anyhow, I think this is a good check-in point so that we can get into our main conversation. You can continue to respond. Just know that the QR code is still there and the code has not changed, 5125-7294. One person says under expectation. Okay, that's fine. Another person says they're looking for clarification, and somebody is curious. Thank you for that. It's always good to be curious. We'll learn great things from there. All right, so let's go on. Excellent. I'm going to stop sharing now and we go back into our webinar. I would like to now bring in my guest into the studio. Please help me to welcome Mr. Austin Okere. Austin, welcome. Good evening. Great to see you. So I'm going to just very quickly read Austin's bio. Austin is a serial entrepreneur. He's a thought leader. He's the entrepreneur in residence at Columbia Business School, and he has been there for over a decade in that capacity. He has also facilitated the United States International University in Kenya. He has consulted for the Sustainable Development Goals Africa Center in Rwanda. So Austin was appointed to the Business Practices Council of the AACSB International and to the advisory board of the Global Business School Network. And this was in recognition of his contribution to the development of business education and knowledge transfer in Africa. So Austin served on the Global Agenda Council for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the World Economic Forum. CWG Group PLC, which many of us would know, is the company that he founded, and is a company that has since been recognized as a global growth company by the World Economic Forum. It is the largest security listed in the technology sector of the NGX. I mean, you need to show some love on that. That is excellent. And Austin, now currently, he's running the Also Leadership Academy, which is an institution that mentors business leaders and entrepreneurs to help them to grow and institutionalize their businesses and thereby optimize the jobs that they create. And the ultimate objective for him is to create shared prosperity. So Austin, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's really great to have you here. Really, really great. Can you hear
me? Thanks indeed,
Audrey.
Thanks indeed, Audrey.
Excellent. So Austin, we've been trying to have this conversation since last year, if you remember, October, then we had to move it to February, and then here we are now in May. But I like the fact that it was difficult to schedule because you had so many commitments, global board meetings, advisory board meetings, and your own events and engagements, of course, plus family. Because for me, it then forms the excellent example of what it is that we want to talk about today. A successful entrepreneur that has been able to build a business, scale it, and not just that, but now step away from it, but not step into nothing. He has stepped into another kind of fullness, into the era of significance. We read all these conversations about going from success to significance, and you've been able to do this. And this is what I want us to talk about today. So I'm going to release the stage to you first. I don't have any early questions I want to ask because I want the audience to listen to you. I know you have a presentation for us. And then when you are done, I have a series of questions for you. And as I ask my questions, I will also be inviting the audience to ask their questions because I want this to hit home. I want us to take the lessons from there. As you know, I'm very passionate about building businesses that outlive us. But outliving us doesn't mean we have to die in them. It actually could mean that they mature to the point where we by ourselves intentionally step away. And just the way a parent watches their child leave home and then spends time in reflective pride every time they achieve one more milestone, that's the same thing we should do with our business. So over to you, Austin. Please do go ahead and share your presentation. I'm going to go quiet for now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mr. Austin Okere. Thank you.
Audrey, thanks very much. I will share my presentation. Tell me when you can see something so that...
Yes, I can. So maybe you go into slideshow for the audience.
All right.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent.
Okay. So Audrey, let me borrow a leaf from you. It's 1:15. I'll make sure that we have more than an hour or at least an hour for question and answer. If you are an entrepreneur or a founder of a business, just type founder into the chat box so that we get a sense of how many are founder. And if you are an entrepreneur, you can also type entrepreneur. Okay, let them come in. But let me start by saying that it's not a bed of roses. What I'm going to do is to share my unusual journey, starting with CWG, which is I consider to be my career. Also, Leadership Academy is my calling. So I differentiate my career from my calling. But I also want to leave you with things to think about if you are a founder or an entrepreneur. I'll talk about the Austin's 5 forces model for transformation if you're in scale mode. And I'll end with an epilogue. As Audrey has already said, my whole philosophy is about shared prosperity. So let's look at leadership. Why do we say leadership? Because for me, it all starts and ends with leadership. Leaders see before anybody else. Leaders, they see further than anybody else. The leader sees more of the picture than anybody else. And they are the ones that usually become entrepreneurs. So that's about leadership. Let me start with my first poll. Now that we talk about leaders and their connection to entrepreneurs. What do you think? Are entrepreneurs made or are entrepreneurs born? Audrey, I hope you can help us to launch the poll and they can use the Mentimeter to share their results.
Yes, I'll do that right now, but I forgot to make a clarification for those who joined on the Menti. Please keep that page open. It would always show you when we move to the next slide. So don't shut it down. We'll use it throughout the presentation. I will launch it right now.
Okay. So that's very interesting. All right, Audrey, please, when the results are in, can you tell us where it's tilting towards? What are people saying?
All right, so I see so far most people are saying entrepreneurs are made. So, but we need more responses to come in. And just to remind us that if you missed it earlier, the code for the Menti is 51257294, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. We're still seeing made is leading. Austin is still, most people are still saying entrepreneurs are made.
So you are the INEC official for this award.
All right.
When,
So
when you think the voting is over, just tell us what
no
we have.
problem. We're still waiting. Please, I see a lot of people using. Oh, I see. My apologies. Somebody on LinkedIn says you are unable to participate in the poll. So I see you in the comment section. Thank you for that clarification. So we are seeing a lot of made, even within the poll, the comment section for those who are unable to comment on the polls. But again, if you're on LinkedIn, please open a different page. Go to menti.com, www.menti.com. When you go to that, it will ask you for a number. That type in 51257294. That will allow you to take part in the poll. All right. Yes, but we are still leading with made. Most of the comments are saying that, yes, I see Taba, I see Chidera, I see Roslyn, I see the code. You want me to repeat it? Yes, the code is 51257294. It's at the top of the screen. If you look at the top of the screen, you will see it. Yes, thank you, Idala, for posting the number. Thank you. Are entrepreneurs born or made? BC, you might need to refresh. It is showing, yes. Thank you. All right, Austin, I think that the vote is in for entrepreneurs are made. I will stop sharing, but if you're still participating, we will come back and see the results. Okay? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So whether you said that entrepreneurs are made or born is not important. I think that is the wrong question. I asked you the wrong question. Entrepreneurs are a different breed. The right question to ask is, who volunteers to be an entrepreneur? And we sometimes call them the crazy ones. But fortune, they say, favor the brave. So in my own case, I don't know whether I was made or born. I just volunteered. I put my hand up and I said, I can do this. I got this. It has not been a bed of roses, but the rest, they say, is history. Let me talk about dreams. It's important that if dreams are free, why shortchange yourself? Dream big and reach for the stars. At least you may touch the sky. And that is what makes entrepreneurs what they are. They are eternally optimistic and they are very courageous. Well, we operate in an emerging market. An emerging market has challenges. So I doff my hat for all of you who put in the chat box or that you are entrepreneurs or founders of companies. I've tried to capture some of the challenges I face in emerging markets. I don't know whether you have your own experiences, but this list can just only be bigger. Well, I have good news for you, despite all these challenges, because the Chinese use the same expression for challenges and opportunities. Why so? Because they are the two sides of the same coin. Opportunities usually come disguised as challenges, and they are bound in emerging markets. So don't be discouraged. You may go to the UK and every problem has been solved. But just being in an emerging market such as Nigeria, there's so much opportunity to solve those challenges from an entrepreneur perspective. Let me start by sharing my journey with you. Mine was a very unusual journey. I was working in a high-profile computer company in Lagos, and I saw the gaps in meeting customers' expectations. I was burning my goodwill because for some reason we were just not doing what we were supposed to do. So I decided to go out there and chart a new course, called a couple of friends, took some money from them, and CWG, or Computer Warehouse Limited, as it used to be called, was born in 1992. What happened thereafter? Well, let me tell you about my life at CWG. I have many facets to my life. This was the longest period so far. I had a creed, and my mantra was based on three things. One, a culture which defined our purpose and our values so that those people that will come to join us are very clear about what we'll do and what we'll not do, so they will know whether they want to come or not. The brand was important, but for me, trust is the currency of brand. You say what you do what you say. It's more than placing all the adverts you can on CNN. Sustainability is important. That is why we're here today. And that comes through a lot of innovation, because there's nothing that is as constant as change. Why I've put trust there in red is that wherever the rule of law is lacking or is deficient, trust becomes what will attract people to you. It's very important. My two things that were important in delivering to my customers was service excellence, which means provide the best experience for the customer, and customer intimacy. Do not treat the customers as if they are on a conveyor belt. Different customers have different requirements. Two other ways you can compete is cheaper prices or the cheapest price or technology leadership. So people like Apple compete on technology leadership. The Chinese compete with the cheapest price, but they also have very quality products if you are ready to pay the right price. All right, so what were my mantra? The most important is no excuses. People have very good excuses that they have in their pockets, and anything that happens, they bring one out. They will not win you any trophies. Instead of saying because of, rather say in spite of. Because of the rain, I came late. Replace that with in spite of, and say in spite of the rain, I came early. Reward success. So Audrey just said a few minutes ago that I am an entrepreneur in residence at Columbia Business School. How did that come about? Was because they wrote a case study on computer warehouse. And I went to the class to debrief the case. First time, second time. At third time, they just said, come and join us as an adjunct faculty. And I've not looked back since then. So I have I go to class 3 times a year. And these are my teaching partners, professors, Morilo and Cliff Shora. But not only Columbia Business School. Uh, MIT also wrote a case study on computer warehouse. And again, I go to MIT. Haven't been in a while. I used to go very early on in my career. But I think the most important thing is when people encounter you, what can they take away? What can you take away in this encounter we are having today? That is what is important to me. All right. So let me take you through the chapters of my 25 years at CWG. I break them into almost decades. So the first decades were just a new beginning, the fundamentals of a new beginning. Just to put it in context, we started in September 1992. For those who were born at that time, there was an election that was cancelled in June 12, 1993. That was quite tough. This was a fresh company. The country was in turmoil. Nobody was doing business. My loans were running. I was not able to gain any purchase orders. But the trust that I had gathered from my former company came through for me. And people expanded my business by asking, "You're doing hardware. Can you do cabling for us? We like your attitude." "Oh, you're doing cabling. Can you do software for us?" So I end up doing hardware, software, and communication in order that they will have a single responsible partner for their projects. That is what trust can do for you. Let me go to the next chapter very quickly. And this is the chapter of rapid scaling. So again, for those that were there in 1999, we had the end of the military era. We had a civilian government led by OBJ, President Olusegun Obasanjo. We're also coming up to the Y2K. If you remember Y2K in the year 2000, some of you are too young to know about these things, but you can read about them. And so there was a big opportunity for us. The debt of Nigeria was cancelled. We became a partner to so many global companies, again, based on trust. And then we started thinking about scaling. In scaling, we went into Ghana, Uganda. So Ghana was to be the headquarters of the West Africa market, Uganda for East Africa. Cameroon was for Central Africa and Francophone Africa. And then Dubai was for international operations. Going beyond borders means you are scaling to the extent that your money in your pocket may not be sufficient to carry that expansion. Let me use that to launch the next poll. Now, when you need money for scale, what is the most optimum, equity or debt? Let us go to our INEC chairman, Audrey, to conduct this poll.
All right.
Audrey, hit us.
All right. Okay, so our poll is up. We can start to vote. By now, you should have seen the new screen. Again, let's join at menti.com if we haven't already, or if you have the same, you don't close the page, the same place, the code is the same, 5125-7294. All right, we don't have any responses yet. 5125-7294. Excellent.
It's possible.
It's coming in. No, the responses are, I see debt and equity. Equity is leading. As more people come in, we see how it plays out. So let's respond, please. What do you think is the optimum means for the startup to seek growth capital? All right. Thank you. More responses coming in. Thank you. Okay. So we have primarily equity. We have about 58% saying equity so far. Debt has dropped to 30%. So about 70% saying equity. 75. Thank you for your responses. It would be great to get more people on. Once again, if you missed it earlier, please go to menti.com. And when it asks you for a code, put in 5125 7294. All right, Austin, we still have equity leading, equity at about 80% currently. Okay.
All right.
So let's keep voting. We'll come back and see the results so we can go on with the webinar.
All
Thank you.
right. So thank you very much for your very integrity voting, and we were not able to bribe you at all. So thank you very much for that. Well, let's look at it from this perspective. After you raise money from self, family, friends to pursue the enterprise, people believe. I had a discussion with somebody on LinkedIn, and he says equity is just the best because if the business fails, everybody goes away. That cannot be further from the truth. The money you raise from friends, family, and so on, yes, if the business fails, they'll go away. If they had prepared for that outcome anyway. Or if you raise money from the stock market, if the business fails, that's that. But as a young company, you don't have the credentials for the stock market. So the place where you can get equity is with the private equity firms or the venture capital companies. And their rule of thumb is that when they put in any money in your company, they expect 3 times that money in 5 years. So if you take an example of CWG, there was a time we took $10 million. In 5 years, we're supposed to cough out $30 million. It's easy to take that money and believe that in 5 years, you make that money to pay back. But remember, you're making your money in Naira, and there's Naira depreciation. So you are like running and the back of your leg is touching your head and you're just not getting there. I won't say that equity is the cheapest or the best way to go. I'll say that be careful that when you're going to take equity from these PE companies, you have a path to a liquidity event. A liquidity event is either you list on the stock exchange so that they can have exit, or another company is coming to buy at a higher valuation so that they will be bought out, or you pay them the 3 times of what they brought in dollars, or they'll take over your company and take assets to pay themselves, or they'll bring in new management that they believe will run the company for them to make their money. Some statistics. In 2023, 9 Nigerian startups that raised over $70 million in the last 2 years, they have closed. This includes Pivo, LaserPay, 54 Gene, Bundle Africa, Payday, Zazu, Vibra, Okada Books, Hitch, and The Pairs, a fintech startup that shut down after 3 years. So don't be misled that equity is free and at the seed stage of your company, you go and sell your seed cheap. I believe that if you use debt to finance specific deals like LPO financing, it keeps you disciplined. And if you took $1 million in 2009, when the exchange rate was 171 to 1, at 20% interest rate, you'll be returning after 5 years 171 plus 171, 342. If you took equity, the same $1 million, you'll be returning 3 times. So you'll be returning $3 million in 2017, and the exchange rate was 333. So you'll be returning almost $1 billion Naira versus just only 300 million. So be careful about that. I hope that is useful and you can learn something from it. All right. So let me tell you about the next chapter of our business in CWG, or my journey. So I don't know who was here during 2004 to 2007. These were rosy years. We had rapid economic growth. The stock exchange was booming. Audrey, I think you remember the GSM, bank consolidation, ATM was coming in. Did you benefit from this boom?
Well, it's again it's a matter of context. A matter of context. There were pluses and there were minuses. Yeah.
There are pluses and minuses. But for CWG, we started an ATM line of business and we were making $35 million per annum from the ATM business to the extent that this was the time that PE companies were looking at in our direction. That was a fantastic year. But not all that glitters is gold, though. I don't know how many people were here during 2008 with the US economic meltdown. Suddenly, this whole boom that we're talking about went bust. It continued for a while. In fact, to 2010, severe shocks. Um, and just when we needed it, because it hit us very hard. We were overtrading, I'll put it that way. A PE company invested $10 million in our company at 55 million valuation. And we had a firm path to listing. We listed in 2013 at $90 million. So that was good for them. In this period that I was talking about, for those that remember, the CBN had banned ATM deployment outside bank branches. So that $35 million we're making from ATM went to zero. You just have to be careful that when you have lemonades, you make lemons. Or when you have lemon, you make lemonades. And when crises come, don't be afraid. Sometimes when crises come, you find some leaders leading out of fear. So I came up with a four mindset model. And the attitude of those leaders who lead out of fear to delivery is they always give excuse because of. But there are some leaders who lead out of courage. They are calm and they're full of action and performance, and they say in spite of. Those that lead out of fear, they are externally focused. They always blame someone. Those that lead out of courage are internally focused. They accept responsibility, even if it's their subordinate, and then they sort things out later. So decide which kind of leader you are, especially when crises come. Do you lead out of fear or do you lead out of courage? Let me talk about the next chapter of of my journey, and that is the period, the period between 11 and 12, 2011 and 12. And what had happened was that we had then gone back to the drawing board and said to ourselves, the business model has to change. What brought us here will not take us further at scale. So we changed our strategy and went into more of digital platforms. We call that whole initiative CWG 2.0. And that is what is making us so profitable and so sustainable. 2.0 went away from the trading mentality into the enterprise and digital platform mentality. Now, when you are going to transform, as we did, I will share this with you. If you find it useful, use it. I call it the Austin's 5 forces model for transformation. I believe that transformation rests on these 5 pillars. A vision. If you look at the vision of Lee Kuan Yew, nothing is impossible. I mean, Singapore is just an entrepreneur city, but look at what he did with it. Or the vision of Kennedy of going to the moon and coming back. After the vision, you need a good team. A team that can go the distance with you. Your timing has to be right, and then you need the resources. I mean, but your resources have to be complemented with resourcefulness because you don't have an entirely inexhaustible resource. The biggest force is resolve. The biggest force is resolve because if you look at, for those that follow football, there was a team called Leicester City that was just newly promoted 2015-16, and they won the league that year. How did they do it? They didn't have all the best players and so on. It was just plain result. Great, agidi, as Nigerians would say. So let me launch a poll at this point to be sure that people are still awake. Of these 5 forces, which would you think is the most critical. Audrey,
Yes.
INEC chairman, let's conduct voting.
Yes. Here we go. All right. So I'm sure the audience, you should be seeing the new poll by now. And it will all come together. I promise you, it will all come together. So please take part. I think in taking part is also kind of challenging your own ideas and assumptions, which is always a good thing for us as leaders to do. And then for those of us who are founders, especially. So once again, menti.com. The code hasn't changed. It's 51257294. All right. So far, vision is leading.
Okay.
Vision, then resources next. I think,
Wow.
yeah, we're seeing vision and resources. All right.
Okay.
We have people now saying team, resolve, time. Yes, thank you all. Thank you all so much. Please keep the votes coming in. Keep them coming in. Vision is still leading by far, very much so. Okay. All right, Austin. I think as the votes are still coming in, so far it's wow, it's changing every second. Huh? But vision is so far ahead. It's definitely the
Vision.
number one.
Vision
And
is number one.
yes, so we're seeing vision, then resolve.
Vision and resolve.
Yes, team
Okay.
and time are kind of at par. So we'll keep the poll, but I'll stop sharing now. So you can keep voting. We will look at the results later.
All right, great. Yes, vision is important. Talk about Lee Kuan Yew and why is vision important? Because without that, you are not even going anywhere. And I think this is where we are in Nigeria. We have come to a point where we need to craft a vision. What do we want to do on the long term, the 5-year, 10-year kind of term? Therefore, what do we have to do this year, the big things? Therefore, what do we have to do this quarter? You can't really do it any other way. But I want to suggest that you should look at the team. It is the team that will drive the vision. One man alone cannot make a forest. There is no size of a tree as big as it is that can make a forest. So you may have that vision. But the team is extremely important, in my view, because that is where you can make the biggest impact in the shortest time. In selecting a team, it's important that you look for these three things. People first that have character, that have the same values that you share. I mean, if you are in the business of armed robbery, then you attract the same kind of people. So, but if you are in the business of corporate, with ethical and so on, just make sure that the people that join you have character. It makes a big difference. Make sure that they have competence. Make sure they have competence and that they are committed to the cause. All these three things must be present. So wherever you are, whether it's in the country, whether it's in the state, whether it's in local government, whether it's in your company, check that the people in the leadership team have character, competence, and commitment to the cause. That is if there is a cause. That's why some people say it's vision. And I had the same situation. In CWG, I selected a team because entrepreneurs, as I said, are very optimistic. But this could also be a double-edged sword. When you say I want to push the boundaries, as I was always doing, you have to know where the edge is so that you do not fall off. Founders generally need a team around them to complement them and to moderate them for optimum results. So after running CWG for about 10 years, I brought in Philip Obioha. That's Philip Obioha. You can see how handsome he is. Then, no, not now. And Philip was looking after operations and finance. James Agada was the tech guru. And me, I was a hustler. So I call this the tripod. Many companies will succeed if you have such a tripod or whatever tripod works for you. But look at the team that have character, competence, and commitment. We listed our company in 2013, and it was a beautiful time for the tech industry because we're just coming out of the global meltdown. But be careful about listing. Be careful what you wish for yourself. Because once you list your company, it's like walking naked in the marketplace. All this, I'm hiding tax, I'm doing you can't do it anymore. Your projections must be accurate. At the annual general meeting, shareholders will take you to account. So be careful that you are ready for it. But it is one of the things that has the biggest advantages, because this is where an entrepreneur can gain from his sweat, and provide sustainability for the enterprise. It also brings trust because once you are listed, other international companies will look at you. It also provides opportunity for a successor and for the founder, entrepreneur, to go on to a greater calling. It's not the only way, but it's one of the sure ways. In our own case, in 1992, when I started, I raised $35,000 from friends, families, and well-wishers. When we listed in 2013, it was a 2,500% yield. What do I mean by that? It means that for those that invested $10 in 1992, their investment was now worth 25,000. If you put in 100, it's 250. I don't know where you were, but if you put in 1,000, by 2013, your investment was worth $2,500. But we wouldn't have realized this $2.5 million if we didn't list on the stock exchange. How do people know what your company is worth when it's not on an exchange? And then the World Economic Forum saw us, presented us the award of the Global Growth Company, and then invited me to be on the Global Agenda Council for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. You may recognize this lady here, very close to my heart. I really admire her and what she's doing at the WTO. But it's some of the things that come with doing the right things: trust, sustainability, innovation. So through this, I became an entrepreneur in residence at Columbia Business School. And through Columbia Business School, I went on to become an advisory board of the Global Business School Network and on the Sustainable Development Goals Africa Center. All right. So, INEC chairman, are you there?
Very much so.
Okay. One poll for you. This vote is: why does the founder stay on when it's time to bow out? Why does the founder stay on when it's time to bow out? We're almost getting to the end.
All right. Okay, so the poll is up. The poll is up. We're waiting for responses now. So for those who are on, same code, I'll keep repeating: 5125 7294. And the options are too invested, holding on to the accolades, no succession plan, no exit route, no higher calling. So waiting to see your votes. What are your thoughts? Okay, so far 45% saying no exit route. We have 27% saying no succession plan. Oh, that's changing now. No succession plan is leading. Let's keep the votes coming. This is the meat of our conversation today. Actually, it's going to form the meat of that. Yes, so no succession plan still leading. Let's keep the votes coming, people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're wondering where to vote, or if you can't see please just refresh your page. Just refresh. If you refresh, then you would see the current poll. Thank you. So no succession plan, no exit route. Austin, these are still the leading.
Okay. Okay. Should we just push ahead then? At least we have an idea.
That's fine. Yes. Yes.
All right. So you are right. And I'll share an experience with you. You see, unfortunately, many founders, they hang on way past their sell-by date. Sometimes they're propelled by the recognition and the perks of office. In fact, an entrepreneur friend called me when I was sitting at Kotoka International Airport at Accra. Uh, he said, Austin, I really need someone to offload this company onto. He was pushing 65 years old. He's been running his company for 33. There was no successor in sight. And unfortunately, it was too late, in terms of the value you can get out of the company. Why do I say it was too late? You see, the entrepreneur builds a company, he builds value, really, huge amount of effort, and he has power and authority. But everything has a life cycle. Entrepreneurs also have a life cycle. You start from scratch, you put in. So this is where he needs to have started handing over to a successor, or if he has not, started grooming a successor. Why do I say that? If he delays in leaving, by the time he's leaving here, the value in the company has dropped up, from there to here. I'm sorry. The value has dropped here. If he delays and he leaves here, the value has dropped further. If he delays and he leaves here, the value has dropped further. If anything happens to him, God forbid, death or anything, and he has not still done the succession, many times the company dies and follows him. So here is where I would say you would have left or start thinking of leaving. At the worst, the green line. But if you delay to amber and you get to red, you see that the fruit has overripened on the tree and the fruit just rots on the tree. And that's what happens. So those that voted, you are very correct. Was I afraid when I left CWG what will happen without my absence? I was. But you have to be bold, and you have to have started your succession plan long since. There have been two CEOs since I left. The current one is doing very well. In fact, in 2023, when you were looking at companies that did very well, this was by Nairametrics, CWG was the number one that gained the most on the stock exchange, followed by MRS and then Transcorp and the rest. So he has even multiplied the value. I mean, imagine the stock growing by 756%. If I was still there pandering to maybe I would have still done well, but will it be this? I don't know. I mean, there's no way to know. But we shouldn't be afraid of succession. So it's good for us. That's my life at CWG. In the next 5 or 6 minutes, I'll share my life after CWG. So I went to start the Also Leadership Academy, which is not a career, it's a calling. A career gives you commercial payouts. A calling gives you cultural success. And Also Leadership Academy was very simple. It's to mentor businesses to scale geometrically for shared prosperity. Uncle, give me 5 naira, uncle, give me 10 naira. If we have enough businesses to employ people, then we'll all have shared prosperity rather than people coming to beg you for money. So what have we achieved today? We've impacted over 120 entrepreneurs, 40 corporate clients, and counting. I feel so fulfilled, doing what I'm doing at ALA. I won't say that I was not fulfilled at CWG, but like I said, that was a career, and I see this as a calling. So what I'm doing with Audrey is part of that calling. And how do you get your calling? Look for people that can inspire you. Many people ask me, what was I going to do after leaving CWG? Who is pushing you away? And the answer to that is that you have to look at a calling beyond yourself and beyond the food on the table. So these were the people that inspired me. These two people are Wilbur and Robert Wright. They were the ones that discovered flight. So you may know some of the faces there. Amazon is a great company, so is Apple. And as you are inspired, you should also inspire people. These are people that I met on my way. Jack Ma, I learned a lot from him. He said, never give up. You know his story. Go and read his story. You see the plethora of rejections that he had. I was also inspired by Paul Roma, who is a Nobel laureate. In fact, when he invited me to come to George Washington University to interview him in front of a panel, I was so elated, but it's where you set your heart. That's why I say if dreams are free, don't shortchange yourself. Dream big. And when you dream big, you touch the skies if you don't touch the stars. Other people, some of you may recognize Mohammed Yunus. He started Grameen Bank, all this financial inclusion. Mo Ibrahim was the one that, if you know, Econet started that Celtel, which eventually became Econet. But look for people that you can flock together with. Now, what is the epilogue? For me, every little drops counts when we talk about shared prosperity. It's important. Don't think that what I'm doing is too small. ALA is too small. It's not Harvard. That's not the point. In your little corner, do what you can, and it will ripple to the shore. So some of you may have heard of Boko Haram. In the heat of Boko Haram, I went to Adamawa. I went to receive a prize, an award at the American University of Nigeria. And I went to visit the camp, and I was so disturbed. It was so I adopted these two children, Nancy and Tabitha, and they're doing well now. They're bigger than this now, but somebody has to give somebody a chance. Look at the transformation. The one that touched my heart the most was little Maria or Mary. When I was called by father to come and assist with a baby they can't find, they don't even know who the mother is. The grandmother was bringing her up, but in the war situation, you never can tell. This was on her 5th birthday, but you see the difference you can make in life if you really want to. And I don't feel anything has left me. Rather, I feel I've gained a daughter. So what drives me? Well, I don't believe that we should clutch all the wealth in the world. We celebrate this billionaire, he has 30 billion, 40 billion. It's not your money. When you leave this place, you would not take 1 penny with you. You won't even take your best watch. It is not your money. Change lives, impact lives. A candle loses nothing by lighting other candles. When you get to the top, don't keep away the ladder. Send the elevator down so that it will bring other people. Personally, I don't believe that a billionaire is somebody that has made $1 billion in assets. I think that a billionaire is somebody who has positively touched 1 billion people, and made a difference in their lives. What holds us back? What we fear most are anxieties, not our adversities. I mean, if you slip and fall, you don't even think about what is broken. You get up and you look at, oh, who saw me? Appearances, But what I can say is that you can never go back and start a new beginning. But as we sit here, you can start from now, to make a new ending. And in making that ending, what are the trade-offs I made? Normally we like affirmation. People are giving you likes here and there, but go for accomplishment. I exchanged security for significance. Otherwise, I'd have been working for the same company where we're not doing well. But I was getting huge commissions. But significance is better than security. In any case, you are not secure. When the company wants to let you go, they'll let you go. Sometimes it's also about immediate victory. Short term, let them clap for me. But the long-term sustainability for me is better. Let me end by the 3 W's that sustain me throughout this journey. The first one is willpower, which speaks to your aptitude. Every day I'm learning. Before we came on to this, Audrey and I were practicing using this technology. That's why it's gone smoothly. You learn something every day. Willpower. Learn everything about your area. Willpower speaks to your attitude, in spite of where everybody says, oh, it's not possible. When I was going to start ALA, people say, oh, what are you going to do? There's LBS, there is this and there's that. Don't listen to those voices. If you fail 7 times, stand up 8. Failing is part of the learning process. The final one is weight power, which speaks to your patience. Planting corn is not the same as planting cocoa. The person that plants corn and cocoa, the cocoa man will be frustrated because the corn man will be harvesting his corn after the rainy season, 3 months. Cocoa takes 5 years, but it will feed you for life. Thank you very much for listening. And Audrey, I believe we can now go to questions, unless there's
Excellent.
any other thing.
No, Austin, thank you so much. Excellent. So thank you for taking us through this journey. Thank you so much. There are a lot of comments coming in. I will try to pick some that as I see them. But just to say to the audience, please, if you want to ask your questions, you can drop them in the comment section. There is no specific Q&A box on this platform. So thank you so much, Austin. I want to just ask some questions of my own, at least to get the ball rolling. First and foremost is this. So very clearly you built something significant. I mean, the kind of numbers you were talking about in terms of the multiples, it's really laudable. And I love the fact that you can even accredit or give credits to the most current CEO for having even done more than you could possibly ever have done. I mean, that's really speaking to how your mind is. So the thing that I think is a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs is, when we look at the difference between, let me call it the spark and the flame. All right, we go into this business with all our energy, something ignites our passion, something keeps us running on a day-to-day basis. But the point we're trying to make is that whether we like it or not, based on that curve you showed us, is either we're going to have to step away from this business, or if we're not careful, we kill the business because we hold on to the end. And as we drop, if we've not laid the framework, the business also drops. So what I want to ask is, so as you were starting, were there some things you were looking at? Let's go to the vision conversation. Was there something you were looking at? Was there something driving you that was telling you that this company would one day, it would go beyond me? That yes, I'm the founder, yes, I'm the leader, but one day this company would be bigger than me. I would like to get a sense from you if that was thinking in your early days or whether it was thinking that evolved as you went along.
Yes, Audrey. So I believe that success is not a destination. Success is a journey. And as we go on that journey, it's like an onion. You peel new layers and new things become clearer to you. The test to know whether you want to be there for forever or whether you are running something that will outlive you. So some person called me, he says, I have this company in Austin. I take this from there. I take school fees, this and the other one, and so on. But you know what? I don't want anybody that will succeed me to take those things. But the person that will succeed you is working in the company. And the things that you are taking is not because you are Austin, because of the position of the CEO. So if you don't feel that that should be the way it should go, then don't do it. Because once you have started, then that is how it's going to continue. And I had that mindset that this thing will outlive me. So the corporate governance which we built was to take it through those steps. When this CEO is leaving and the next one is coming, it won't be difficult because of the foundation that I've laid. But you try to take everything and grab it and you say, okay, so when the other one comes, it's employee CEO. There's nothing like that. Either the person is a CEO or is not. So you find people say, oh, I've made you governor, so you owe me. No, a governor is a governor. It's a governor. A CEO is CEO. There's nothing like employee CEO or. So
Right.
The most important thing for me then was, here I am. What will people miss about CWG if it's not there? As I speak to you, 17 banks are on our Finacle core banking application platform. Most of the calls that you make from telecom companies, about 68% of them pass through our infrastructure. So yes, you miss us. In fact, the government should be talking to us about how we shouldn't even think about closing shop. And for me, that is more important. Something beyond what to put food on the table, put money in your bank account, something that will be there for the benefit of the people that use it. It was fun creating it. It was difficult. It was rewarding. I'm not a poor man, but I don't need all the money in the world, and I believe that what we have created will continue to benefit people directly or indirectly.
Right.
If we touch 1 billion people, I'll be happy, but
Right.
definitely 1 million people.
Right. Thank you for that. So that's an excellent point that you raised about the conversations about employee CEO. And I think for us as business people, so this is one of the things I want to put out there. If you are a founder of the company and if you are an owner manager, I want you to recognize that there are two remits that you have. You have one at the shareholder level and you have one as at the management level. And the business is demanding some things for you at the management level that you are the founder does not remove you from compliance. And so that example you gave about I take school fees, I do this, I do that, but I don't want whoever I employ to do that, is enough to tell you that you are doing something that is not in the interest of the business. So the cap we're supposed to wear as founders, owner manager founders, is to ask ourselves the question, if I wasn't the one running this company, what would I expect from the person I employ? I remember many years ago, very simple conversations around, for instance, the fact that if I needed paper at home, I would buy my own paper. And, people would be like, why can't you just take from the office? And I'll say, no. At that point, of course, now I have a home office because COVID has changed the way we all work. So my office is fully equipped for house and office work. But back in the day when we were all coming to the office, to me, I'm not coming to the office to print my research work or whatever because I own the business, because I wouldn't expect the person I hire to be doing that. It's a cost to the business. So that's a good point, recognizing that there is a place to differentiate what is my remit to this business as an owner and what is my remit as a manager. And best practice demands that you separate yourself as an owner and lead the business the way you would expect someone else to do. So that's interesting. And thank you for setting the context that even as we think about vision, for us as entrepreneurs, a good question or a good self-reflection that we need to have is, where am I going with this business? What's all the, we call it our hustle. What's your hustle about? Where is it going to end? Is it going to end with me? Or am I going to build something that one day I can step back and look on with pride? I mean, here's Austin celebrating a second CEO after he has gone and being able to look and say, yes, perhaps if I was there, I would have done as well or maybe better, perhaps. But I'm not there. And the business is still delivering results. I think that is excellent. That's how we build companies that mark 100, 200 years. So Austin, there is this question I want to ask you. And it is really now looking at the emotional, the soft side of this conversation about founders and exit. Because remember, and for those who joined late, we're talking about Now-4-Next. What do I need to do now to make sure that my next is a testimonial such as that which Austin is sharing? So there's this thing about, I'm just wondering, is there something about the nature of the person, the character of the founder that may help them to know when to exit, when to step away? I mean, this is a baby you've birthed, right? It's something you've created. Is there, I think there's an emotional part to it for those of us who built the business from scratch. It's our baby. In fact, we actually call it that, right? Most of us, we do that. So, but there's something that is referred to as founder syndrome, as you know, where it is really difficult for founders to let go. It doesn't sound to me like you went through that, but I would like you to maybe speak to some of the things we should be looking out for in ourselves that can prevent us from getting into that place where we are holding on unduly, whereas the business is actually calling to us to hand over to the next leader, the next generation, and so on. Is it a character trait? Is it just a vision trait? Is it something we can talk ourselves into or be mentored into? I mean, just get your perspectives around that, please. Thank you.
Audrey, a lot of people say, oh, I own this company, I found it. We give birth to our children. You say, okay, people see the company as their baby. If you have 3 children or 5, which one of them do you own? You own none. Yes, you gave birth to the children, but do you own them? The same way you gave birth to the company, you don't own the company. The is an enterprise on its own, which is life is lived through the actions of the directors of the company. That's why you said you don't take paper from the company, you don't, take what you have not earned from the company. The mindset of I own the company is the wrong mindset. If you had a child, 2 years old, you dress the child, especially, little girls, they dress them very well, put ribbon here, put ribbon there. You go, people say, oh, your child is cute. 5 years old, oh, your child is cute. Just imagine pulling a 30-year-old about so that people will say your child is cute. No. She should have her own family, her own husband, and her own children. We never know when to let go. Even in our children relationships, they say, there are some people that want to hold on to their children, 45-year-old. Your child is cute. I mean, you don't own your children because you gave birth to them. You don't own the company because you founded it. You are to take care of the company, exercise duty of care, fiduciary, just like you do for your child. At some point in time, there comes a time for independence. The child will go and form their own family. In the same way, the company will continue beyond you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So I want to take a couple of questions that have come in. I'm just trying to find that. I will come back. I still have a lot of questions for you, but I'm mindful about time. One, I also want to be sure that the audience is fully engaged. So there is a question from Ololade. She says, thanks for the presentation, but she says, apart from having a great team who have the 3 C's, what are other practical steps towards creating a succession plan? Actually, I think that my next question was about succession. So if I may, let me add it and then you can answer them together. So I wanted to ask you about what I call strategic succession, because succession is one of those things we talk about a lot, but I'm not sure it's as easy to do as we can sometimes make it sound. So, again, this is me asking how you walk through that process of identifying and preparing your successor. What kind of qualities were you looking at? What did you prioritize? What was that process like, as you began looking at exiting this business that you founded? Yeah.
In the beginning, we started with leadership. And I said, everything starts and ends with leadership. I said, a leader sees more than anybody else, sees further than anybody else, and sees before anybody else. You may not have, if I'm driving from here to Owerri, I won't start from Lagos and see Owerri. I'll probably see 200 to 300 meters in front. But I know that I'm going to Owerri. I'll pass toll gate, I'll go right. If I was going to Ibadan, I'll go straight. I don't know what's happening on the road, but I have a set vision. I'm going to Owerri. So what leaders do is, having seen that vision, bring it forward and say, okay, I see that 20 years from now, I will not be in a position to be the best person for this company. So from today, what should I start doing? And you may even have a person that you think will be your successor, and then the person leaves. But that shouldn't derail your plan. It's not an excuse to say, well, I had a successor, he has left, so I'm carrying on. No. Because success is not a destination, it's a journey. And in that journey, for those that are deep faith, there's a whole lot. I call it the 3 things. One is uncommon advantage. Was I the most intelligent person? Was I the only technology person? Why is CWG? Uncommon advantage, being in the right place in the right time. I was actually reading at Greek in school. I wasn't going for lectures. They asked me to leave the department, University of Ghana. I wasn't enjoying it. Computer sciences have just started. It was under Department of Maths. I went to computer science, and here I am. It's uncommon advantage. I didn't plan it.
Sure.
Then there is natural ability. My taking to computer sciences and my way power, learning everything about business and computer sciences propelled me. But there's also unmerited favor, which is of 5 things. Why is your own the one that is? And we have to give the grace and the glory to where it belongs. I can't take it,
It's so good.
But you also have to see that you need to have a continuous plan of that succession. Maybe a team of people that some people clutch everything to their chest. If I tell them, they'll know, they'll go and start their own. You can copy a company's strategy. You can copy a company's financial. The thing you can't copy is the culture of the company. What is the culture of the company? It's the behavior and actions of the leaders of the company. That is the culture of the company. And because I'm succession minded, everybody down the line was thinking about their own department. Okay, what if I get a promotion? Who will be doing my job? Without somebody doing your job, you may not get that promotion. So everybody is putting up trust. The whole thing is, when you get to the top, send the elevator down to bring others. The idea of kicking down the ladder is what all of us have. I better pass my neighbor. If not you, nobody can do it. I got a lot of things. Austin, where are you going to? You just started this company. Who is pursuing you? Please don't listen to those voices.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I love that, this succession conversation. So one of the things that we have done in my organization is, so there's a proper succession framework. One, you have to identify who your key leaders are, identify the key men in the organization, and make sure that within each of them, we've identified who are the next maybe 2 people or 3 people, and how ready are they? Would they be ready in 2 years? Would they be ready in 3 years? What do we need to do to get them ready? Right? And you are right. Sometimes they leave. But like you said, no matter what is happening, you are going to where the vision is set. So if somebody shifts, and this is the benefit of when we set up organizations that have a lot of structure and a lot of governance in place, because it's easier to then also recruit excellent talent in and begin to groom them. Better you have a succession plan and people are leaving and you're having to replace, than that you have none and you think the business is all about you. Now, I think in today's climate as well, because the world has changed extensively. So a lot of people, their whole plan is just to move the business to their children. And the children are not necessarily qualified or interested. This is a world where, for those of us who are older, we are seeing professions, careers that never existed before. And those are the things that are more attractive to another generation. So if we're just building our lives around, it will go to my son or my daughter or my sister or my brother, it doesn't work. And age comes at a point we may not be able to continue. So we should build a succession plan and just continue to, do the iterations of it as things change all around us. Thank you, Austin. So there's a question here from Roslyn, and she says, what are the indicators to look out for when it is time to leave the business? And I think that this is an important question to ask, because there could be some people listening who they haven't really ever sat down to think that, oh my gosh, I have to be able to separate myself from this company at some point, and I need to know when that time is. So if you can please walk us through, I know you didn't have that perspective, but having had the experience, what should any founder be looking at that begins to signal to them that perhaps it is time to leave the business? And just before you answer, I will share something quickly. I remember it was in, I think somewhere around 2010 or 2011, I attended a Lagos Business School, those alumni sessions we would have where people just come and there's a guest facilitator. And I remember that we brought in a General, what's his name, Agrawal also, to come and talk about succession. And when I stood up to ask my question, as I asked the question, I also talked about the fact that the answer was important to me, because I actually felt that within a few years, I should be able to hire somebody that could do my business, run my business better than me. And the whole class started to laugh. They thought it was really amusing that I was thinking about somebody else running my business. And that just told me that, so this conversation has been important to me for a long time, that too many people define themselves totally by the businesses they run, and therefore can't see past it. So please answer Rosalind's questions. If I am this entrepreneur, what are the things I should be looking out for that tell me it is time, or perhaps getting to time, for me to leave the business?
So, Audrey, the short answer to that question is that nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. You will be very reluctant to leave if there's nothing you are leaving to. Now, you are trust with authority, you are trust with favor, and you have to raise your responsibility to society in consonance with the blessings you have received. And you have to look at a higher calling. That's why I call also Leadership Academy, ALA, my calling, different from my career. The business that you founded or you are working somewhere, doesn't matter. People say my company, it's the company. When you bring this my company into it, it colors the whole mindset of you and everybody else. Because you call it my company, the people working there call it your company. They don't call it our company.
Austin,
You
please say
know,
that again. Sorry, say it. Just say it again. That was my aha moment. Say it again, please. Wow. All right.
when you say people were laughing because we were going to employ somebody to run my company, that mindset of my company is also spiritual because that mindset of my company instead of the company, it also trickles for other people to say it is your company and not our company. So all the actions and their subconscious is that they are working for your company. They are not working for the company or our company. We should never use the word my company. You don't own it. You founded it. Like you say, I showed you the progression of what we made, $35,000 to $99 million. You get a lot of dividend. The shares you own give you a lot of wealth. That is the company. It uplifts you. We drink Guinness beer. Do you know Mr. Guinness? No. You buy from JC Penney. Do you know Mr. Penny? McDonald's, you go there and eat. Do you know Mr. You don't know them. You don't need to know them because those things, CWG is not my company. People say you are leaving your company and you are leaving it to. No, I'm not leaving my company. I'm leaving the company because I'm not leaving into a vacuum. I've already been doing something. I started what we call CWG Academy when I was in CWG because people used to come to CWG to take the best staffs, and we had fantastic staff. I was so frustrated. I said, okay, the best thing to do is to bake the staff in here. So I started the CWG Academy. We took anybody, you don't even have to be a computer graduate, anybody, just like entrepreneurship, whoever volunteers. We put them through a 3-month program. They come out at the other end, they're fantastic. So I wasn't worried about who was going. So this whole concept of academy, I started it from CWG. Then going to Columbia Business School to hone that skill and seeing what kind of what success can look like. That was my hunger. So you need to have an anchor. So I knew that my calling was shared prosperity. What was the vehicle for shared prosperity? Was it clear to me about also Leadership Academy? Not as clear. But I knew that that shared prosperity was my core. So whether I go to the IDP camp to take people to take care of and so on, or whatever I do, I don't like to discuss my philanthropy. It's all about shared prosperity. ALA is about shared prosperity. Yes, we make money from it. It breaks even, it makes profit. But the whole idea was I'm going to a higher calling. So don't confuse your commercial payout with your legacy or your cultural success. The signs that you are ready to leave is when the calling is so high that you know that you need to go and give body and soul to it. But if you don't have anything calling you, and this is your only means of relevance, then you continue to sit there. That's my thought. But you also have to make sure that you're pulling people up. If you don't pull people up, you won't find who to leave it to. And think beyond yourself. A listing or something that makes it not too personal is good, but maybe a listing is not for everybody. For me, it was a very good way of getting value for the sweat I put in.
Okay, I like this. What I hear is this. you started by saying the difference between your career and your calling. And this is what allows you to make that shift. And then you have said that when the calling is louder, once it's that place where what I call it is the cry for more. I call it the cry for more, where you see the trappings around you, and by different metrics, you are successful. Without pride, you can look around and see that you've achieved a few things, but there's some emptiness inside you. And that's usually stemming from the more. That's the cry for your calling. But if we're not paying attention, we may miss it. Or if we're too wrapped up in the success what should I say bracket that we're in, right? We're so wrapped up in that. If we're not careful, we actually we're muting the calling. But it's important to pay attention to it. You said something, even if you haven't gotten clarity on what your calling is. So don't leave. However, make sure you are building people up. And why is this important? It's important because if you're going to be that entrepreneur, that founder that stays till you drop, you remember that chart Austin showed us, and I think maybe before you end, we'll probably show it one more time if you can. And let's see how the business, how it goes, so that if you're going to be that person, you want to be sure that even if you stay into your business till the day you drop, literally, that you have built enough capacity in the people with you such that they just continue running. I think that's a fantastic way to go. Okay, so we have a question from Ehi Nome, and pardon me if I didn't pronounce this well, nice looking name. And the question is it a good time to take a bow from a company you've started before it becomes totally self-sustaining in terms of governance and huge profits, especially when you've been running the company for a decade plus? So this is obviously somebody's practical experience. If you can speak to this, please. Thanks, Austin.
All right. So when do you define huge profit? It says, is it a good time to take a bow from a company you started before it becomes totally self-sustaining? What is the numerical measurement of totally self-sustaining in terms of governance and huge profit? What is the numerical measurement of huge profit? And that's those open-ended things that we are not able to then say, I've reached that milestone. You need to put it in a way that when you reach that milestone, I've reached that milestone. Some people say, I don't want to do this for more than 25 years of my life. Some people say, I don't want to. That's why companies have a retirement age. It doesn't matter whether you founded a company or not. I mean, many companies will tell you by the time you're 60, start going. Go and do something else. And you say, oh, no, the huge profit I want, we haven't reached it. What is that huge profit? And that huge profit is not a destination. It's a journey. There will be huger and huger profit. But, some of these things are also personal. When you feel the calling, number one, when you feel that the successor is right, number two, when you feel that you are not far away. I mean, I'm still very deeply attached to CWG. I sing their praises, I do their marketing, I use my network. So it's not like you are cutting the umbilical cord. Even that your child, your baby daughter that you are dressing up and so on, when she's 30, you don't cut the umbilical cord. I spoke to you 2 days ago, Audrey, and you said, oh, I'm with my daughter, and she's having her birthday, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. I'm sure she has a family of her own.
Yeah.
You have not cut her off. She's still part of you, but you are not in her house, or she's not in your house, and you are, dressing her in ribbons and so on. It's the same with the company. I've not cut CWG off, So the triggers for you to say, okay, it's time to go. Let me show that graph, Audrey, if you don't mind, so that people will see what I'm talking about.
That's fine.
Please tell me when you can see the graph.
Yes, it's back up. It's up now.
So you are coming from somewhere here. You've built this thing, you've added value, you are now here. what is that here? What is it? You need to define it before you reach there. Because if you don't define it before you reach there, then that line becomes non-existent. It's a moving target. It doesn't mean that you live on that spot, but it's a plus or minus. You know, the problem becomes you have this whole time to still work on your calling and the successor, and you live at here. There's still quite a lot of value in the company. But if you delay and you live at here, look at the value you've lost. You are now amber. If you delay and you live at here, you've lost this whole value up to here. If you don't live at all, like my friend that called me at 65 years old, there's no value left. Or King Biscuit, you can name so many more. You know, so we have to be careful not to define triggers for when we leave that are not measurable. So we don't know when we have reached there. You know.
Okay, so very quickly, we still have about 20-something minutes, but I see a couple of questions I would like you to take. This is a question from Perida asking, is there an age bracket for those different colors on the graph? So I highlighted this first because you just showed that.
Age bracket for those different colors on the graph.
Yeah, the different stages you showed.
I think that sometimes we are fixated about exactitudes that, you know, and we do it a lot. My child, I think, Audrey, I think you women do it more than us. My child must finish primary school by this age. Even if the child is struggling, push him through. He must finish by this age. He must go to university. Secondary school, they say don't bring your child before age 13. 11-year-old, you push him. A 9-year-old, you push her. Don't bring your child to university before age 18. You see 16-year-olds. You know, so those exactitudes are not, oh, I want to graduate before I'm 19. It's not important. Somebody can graduate at 23 and still do much better than you. So I'm a bit worried about this exactly about what is this age. It's more about how ready are you? And how ready are you is a function of how have you been preparing? You know, and if I go back to that graph, that's why you have that green. You know, it gives you sufficient time, even if you have not thought about it, to start preparing. A year, 2 years, 3 years, doesn't matter, you know, but prepare for the calling and the succession. Both must be there. If the calling is there, you will not go. If the succession is not ready, you will not go. So focus on the calling and the succession. And sometimes the calling is just go home and spend time with your family. It's also a calling, you know that.
Exactly.
I don't want to do anything again. I just want to
That's
go
right. That's right. Thanks, Austin. So, you know, your response is so spot on. And it reminded me of something, and I shared that with you. I won't share his name because I don't have the liberty to do that. But I was privileged to anchor an interview with a very successful CEO recently. And I remember that as he was talking about his story, he talked about the fact that he actually gave the company he founded, he told the board that he was going to retire in 4 years. He gave them 4 years advance notice of his retirement date. So when he finished talking, I asked him, I said, I want to understand why you were that specific. And he tied it to his 60th birthday, he said, and he actually stepped aside. And I said to him, I want to understand the mind that you had that allowed you to do that. I have never heard of that before. And he said something to me. He said that he looked at what his entire package, his remuneration and benefits from the business. I mean, you've sweated and built it to a certain stage. And he knew that one day he was going to have to retire. And he didn't want to find himself at a point where the retirement is forced on him, either because perhaps age and health, force him out, or new investors come in that are good for the business but don't want him there. He just didn't want to find himself in that situation of difficulty. So he had to prepare for what it was he would be doing next, and he knew he needed time for that. But he also said that looking at that package, he felt he needed sufficient time to build other things, which, while they may not give him the kind of package he currently had, would at least create some streams of income such that for the rest of his life, he wasn't going to be dependent on anybody. I thought that was phenomenal. Every once in a while, and I shared that with you when we're, talking earlier, Austin. It's so admirable. And here's the truth to every founder that is listening. This is our reality because we are human beings. We are not superhuman. We're going to get older. And of course, they're like in responding to the last question, age is different for different people. For some people, it's 65. For some, it's 70. For some, it's older. For some, at 55, they're just done, right? And they want to move into something else. So it's not about any specific numbers, but it's you recognizing that there has to be a next, and you must actively prepare for that next. If you've never thought about it before today's webinar, this is a good time to then step back and begin to ask yourself, where am I going? Remember, you will never completely be disengaged from the company you founded. You could be on the board. You could be sometimes involved in some special projects. You are going to, for life, be their chief marketing officer because this is your child you're forever proud of. But you don't want to find yourself, because of developments around you, whether health, whether life, whether expansion or new investor, whatever the situation may be. You don't want to wake up and you left on Friday and on Monday, you have nothing to do because you're not prepared. And what you should be prepared for is your calling. And I promise you that if you even pay some attention to your quiet moments, that calling has been staring you in the face. It has been staring you in the face. You could be the one who is supposed to be, giving scholarships, doing coaching and mentoring. There are young entrepreneurs who are looking for people to sit on their boards, but they are worried they can't pay. You could be that person who your problem is not your money, but you have experience and you have value to bring to help someone else to build their business. So again, engaging your now for your next. If you haven't already, please let's start with that. All right, there is a question that I would like you to also speak to, even though we've kind of gone past it, but it's a question that has been out there for a while. It's from Abubakar Sadiq, and he's asking, how can one establish the discipline of refraining from treating the business like an ATM? I think this is a good question for founders, especially legacy-oriented founders. So if you can speak to that, Austin, please.
I will. Let me indulge Perita a little bit more, and then I'll come and speak to Abubakar. So Perita, right, just to share my story, in my own case, I thought that 20 years in the company was what I wanted to do. I started in 1992. By 2012, I went to give a talk at Lagos Business School, and I announced there at the talk that, by this December, I'll be leaving CWG and hand over to my successor, so to speak. By the time I got to the office, Perita, my investors were waiting for me, a PE company that put in $10 million. And they said, we heard you said something at LBS. And I said, yes. In fact, by December, I'm really thinking about, hanging my boots. And they said, no, Austin, you can't do that. When we invested the money, we signed the term sheet. In the term sheet, you are the key man, and the key man cannot leave without, liquidity events. This was 2012. I realized I was a prisoner because some of the posts we did, why does a founder not leave? They say there's no path to leave. I didn't have a path to leave. 2013, I listed the company. Then I said, okay, now that I've listed the company, I think they said, no, you don't do that. They'll think there's something you're leaving. Why not stay for some time? So I stayed for 2 more years, And then when I was leaving after 2 more years, they said, okay, we know you want to go home, but can you give us 3 days a week? So I gave 2 years consultancy to the company, not working full time. My point being, there's no set age. I set 20. I left after 25 years. So Perita, I hope this works. So I had 20 in mind, but it didn't happen at 20. I left after 25 years. But to come back to Abubakar says, how do you have the mindset that you don't treat the business like an ATM? For me, as a founder, I ask myself, what will I be comfortable for my successor to take? That is what I will take. Because if you have established the foundation of a culture of the business being an ATM, the day you are not there, your successor will continue on that culture of the business being an ATM. So always do that check. This thing I'm signing off for myself, will I be happy if my successor is taking it? If no, then don't. If yes, then do. It's a good check.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I think that, just to add to this, Abubakar Sadiq, not knowing what stage you are in, as I don't know if you're a founder, but if you are and asking this question, you are probably not too far along the journey. It's one of the most difficult phases of starting a business, the transition. If you don't do it from the beginning, what is going to happen is that you will just get used to the business paying all your bills. And, in fact, it gets as ridiculous as, okay, I'm a woman, so I can use this example. Maybe there's a wedding, you need a shoebi, you don't have the money. The company, yeah, yeah. It can be that ridiculous because you're just used to all your bills being covered. You don't pay for anything. After all, I'm the owner of the business. Do you know how long I've sweated for this company? There is that. But it can also be as ridiculous on the other side as the fact that you've actually run the company for a long time. The company has built capacity, and yet you are still, because of the control factor, you still feel that the sense of entitlement. And this is why we talk about, or I talk all the time about self-governance, that there is a very high level of owner-manager accountability. You have to impose it on yourself. What you know, as Austin has said, that you can't allow someone to hire to do, try to constrain yourself. Better you pay yourself a good salary. The times when the company can't pay you, right, because there's a cash flow challenge, we treat it as a payable. I mean, we know how to do the accounting, and you recognize you are owed, but you have to live within what you are paid and live within what the approved benefits are for your position. That's what you would expect if you hand over to someone else. Culture is something that is set from the top. The minute you, as the founder, are the first person that is breaching all your covenants, all your policies, and things like that, I promise you that's the culture you are building. And what happens is that no matter how much you talk, when new people come in, they kind of continue from there. So that's something to look at. Now we had one last question I can see here. I think we can still take this from Ulako. Ulako says, what sort of ways did you educate yourself to make informed decisions on succession planning? Also, did you have any mentors and coaches? Coaches, I think that's an excellent question. Thanks for asking, Ulako. Austin, please answer.
Yes, I actually. So when I say yes, what am I answering to? I'm so sorry. To the first question, to the last question, do you have mentors and coaches?
Yes.
I did have mentors and coaches, and I shared some of them, because no man is an island unto himself. So if you look at my inspiration, these are some of the people that inspired me. I mean, I've bought their books, I've read their stories, I've looked at the dreams they had. Mandela's dream, a free South Africa, it has come to pass. Martin Luther's dream, a place where all races are equal, it has come to pass. Steve Jobs' dream, music in your pocket, it's even gone beyond that. Obama's dream, yes, we can, a black man in the White House. Then the Wright brothers, we can fly, and we're flying. So these are the people that inspired me. I mean, other ones are Jack Ma. They are varied. Paul Roma, who is Nobel laureate in economics. Grameen Bank, Mohamed Yunus, Mo Ibrahim. So there are people that you have to look at that you like how they've gone about what they've done, and you learn from them. They can be near or far. There are also people near that I've learned from, So that inspiration is a two-way. You may feel inspired by me, but I also feel inspired. I am inspired by the questions you are asking. It means that you want to go back and make a change. How did you ensure that you are trained in terms of succession. Part of it is self-preservation. Because I know that the more the company does well, the more it will add to my bottom line. My stock will increase and so on. So um, if I leave the company in wishy-washy hands and it doesn't do well, my value will also decline. So it was partly self-preservation and my own interest to say, let me even get somebody that is far better than me. We are used to hiring people that we are smarter than, but in this occasion, please hire somebody that is smarter than you. Mentor somebody that is smarter than you and give him all the resources to succeed and leave him to make mistakes. Be there to support him when he makes mistakes. Don't say, oh, if I was there. No, you've left. But support him and you will see that there's a spirituality to it. If I feel that you are giving reins to me, then that autonomy comes with responsibility and accountability. Then I'm aligned to your dream, and that dream becomes a shared dream. But if I feel that I want to be puppet stringing you, this whole thing, I go back to the governor. You are the governor, but I am the governor, it really doesn't work, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. All right. So you've just spoken to the importance of delegation, which is something I so much believe in. One of the challenges we have as founders, because usually at the beginning we're wearing many hats. We are the foreman, the driver, the chief marketer, the financial. You know how it works. We do everything, and so we are the ones that are the chief custodians of all the. We think we're the custodians of all the intellectual capital of the business, but that's not true. Because as the business begins to grow and expand, the more you put structure, the more you hire more qualified people, you actually, in a sense, know less and less about the intricacies of the business. You're operating more at the strategic level. If you don't delegate and give people the capacity to make mistakes, the allowance to make mistakes and grow, it will always be about you. And I like to repeat that it's a cliche, but very true, where it says that if you have to be at your desk every day, then you are not running a business, you have a job. And as founders, we are supposed to be running businesses. And as legacy-minded founders, we're supposed to be running businesses that outlive us and continue to go on. You don't need to know the founder of Coca-Cola to enjoy a bottle of Coke. And you talked about, for instance, that's very close to my heart, the Okin biscuits. I remember the Odutola brothers, right? Their products were part of my growing up, and they're nowhere to be found anymore. They were a treasured part of my childhood, and they were doing so well. But look at what has happened. That's a case study for any founder that is listening in terms of what you should or shouldn't do to allow your business go forward. Delegation is key, and you have to allow people to grow capacity. Don't try to be the star. If you're a founder who just wants to be the only star, you are not doing yourself any favors. I can promise you that. You need to let your people outshine you. So hire people more intelligent than you. It just helps you to build your own intelligence as well. All right, so Austin, the last two questions I'm going to ask you, really, it's more of lessons learned, just lessons learned. And what I want to ask one, if you could go back, and this is you now, you have done a great job. So I want you to wear the shoes of a founder who perhaps hasn't. I want you to go back and give your younger self some advice about starting a business, building a company with transition in mind. What kind of advice would you give?
So, Audrey, my advice to myself, my younger self, if I was to do that, will be 3 W's. Willpower. Learn everything about the area in which you are. Be the go-to person. But the way you can be the go-to person is if you share a lot. It's in sharing that you learn. Willpower. 3 W's. Willpower. The second W is willpower. This speaks to your tenacity because they're always buzzing in your ear. People who can do something, and because they cannot do it, they feel you cannot also do it, and they discourage you. Willpower, the resolve. What told Leicester City that they can come from a division below and win the league? What told Martin Luther King that you were here 400 years as a slave? What makes you feel you can be equal? What told Nelson Mandela that we have been ruling you all these hundreds of years and you want your freedom? What told Obama that a black man can never be in the White House? What exactly propelled them? Willpower. The last W is weight power, patience. When you plant cocoa and you don't see any fruits in 3 months, don't go and cut it down and plant corn because your neighbor's corn is being harvested. Have patience. Don't sell your seed. Nurture it. Wait for it to become a big tree with fruits. Sell your fruits because you sell it perennially. If you sell your seed, that's it. It's gone. And you sell it cheap because you don't have negotiating power. And I'm speaking to entrepreneurs that rush to raise Series A, Series D, Series E. Don't sell your seed. You don't have that negotiating power. Nurture it. Sell your fruits.
Wow. Excellent. I see one last question. I don't know if we can take it. We have 10 minutes left. Chizoba, Austin, maybe you take this very quickly, but I love where you landed. You said, don't sell your seed, sell your fruit. There is nurturing to be done, and nurturing brings, it's all the grit, all the tenacity, but you're not going to nurture in anyhowness. We must nurture within the parameters of institution building. We must nurture within policies, frameworks, systems, governance, all that, the things that make for an attractive business that continues and sustainably so. So this last question, Chizoba is asking, so what happens if the person you intend to hand over to has a different plan of what he or she wants to do? I think you've kind of covered this, but you can just answer that very quickly, please.
No, we don't think about one future, one direction. We think transgenerational and we think many futures. It cannot be that you have a dang gun, it's only one bullet, and once you shoot that bullet, it's gone. So you have to have options. Not only one person, when he leaves, then there has to be options. And even that options, there's a trick that one of the famous CEOs used to play. He has 6 people that he wants to hand over to. And he would tell each of them not to vote for themselves, vote for any of the other 5. But the 6 of them know that they are being considered. But you can't vote for yourself. That's someone that is trying to have options. And it could be that he's even wrong in the person he's chosen, because those are the people voting among themselves who cannot vote for themselves. The truth may come out. But it's not the only way. You can't have only one bullet. You have to think many options.
All right. Thank you so much, Austin. And I want to say a very big thank you to all the ladies and gentlemen on the call on the different platforms. We have StreamYard, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and it's just been a phenomenal conversation. Now, again, this was part of my ENDGAME Bespoke coaching program, which is for people between the ages of 40 and 60. If you don't follow me, please connect with me across my different platforms. I will be putting out information shortly on when that next stream will run. Today, however, has been a business-oriented conversation in our Now-4-Next series, where we are trying to help you proactively navigate your now for your next. In today's context, as a business person, asking the questions around how do I prepare myself to hand over? Or how do I prepare myself if I'm choosing to stay? How do I prepare myself such that I have a good succession line that can take over if I'm going to drop in this business? What I am very passionate about seeing, not just in Nigeria, but indeed in the continent of Africa, is where we have a lot of businesses that outlive the founders and continue going and growing. That's so important. And not just that, but also to see founders who are not tied to this baby they have birthed because they have nothing else to do. The world is desperately in need of you and I embracing our calling. There are lives to be touched, and we have what it takes to touch those lives. You can actually still stay within the ambit of business by taking all of your experience, that legacy experience you have, and helping other young entrepreneurs to grow. Or you get into so many different other philanthropic activities that will continue to fulfill you. Here's the thing, whether we like it or not, one day, Austin, I don't know if you can mute, I'm getting a bit of an echo. One day we're going to have to step aside from this business. It may be forced on us or it may just evolve. Why don't we proactively do what needs to be done to make sure that at the end of the day, this thing we've poured our heart and soul into does not end with us? So thank you for listening. And just before I sign out, I see, yes, my sister Ian, thank you so much. I see your comment. I actually want to do a bit of a plug. If you are listening and you are over 40, I want to encourage you to look for Inyang Sami Orumbe on Instagram, LinkedIn. She has a session tomorrow with, I believe, Mr. Soji Oyawoye, and she's going to be speaking about retirement planning. For those of us who are running our businesses, I think most of us don't even get to start thinking about that. But I promise you, it seems to me that that session would be a very good complement to what we are doing today. So please follow her at the Bloombox platform on Instagram. I believe it is the Bloombox platform. Her name is Inyang Sami Orumbe. Thank you so much for all being here. I hope that this has been very useful. I see the comments. Thank you for the love. But beyond just having listened, please take the learnings and go and look at what it is you're doing, look at the business you are running, and ask yourself, what do you need to change? What needs to shift so that you end up as a legacy business? Won't it be lovely to say that this company, it was started by Austin Okere, is still here 100 years later? You don't have to be. But legacy is about leaving tangible, valuable footprints in the sands of time. Don't be that entrepreneur that constrains the capacity of your business because you have defined it as, you're not being different from who you are. Like Austin says, all of us, including me, this my business matter, it ends today. It becomes the business, because I promise you, I am trying to build transgenerationally. Thank you so much for listening. And we will be back, I guess, in another couple of months with another guest speaker. I hope to see you all there. The videos will be uploaded, of course, on Instagram is available for a few hours, but on my YouTube channel, Audrey Joe-Ezigbo, you will find the recording. Please feel free to share, listen again, and take whatever learnings God would allow you to glean from there and practicalize them. Austin, thank you so much. This has been phenomenal, but I didn't expect any less. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I know you. I'm so glad I have you in my corner, and I can tell you that you are a shining example to me as well. You have the right value system, you understand your remit on this side of eternity from God, and I see you walking a path that I so very much want to walk. So thank you so much once again. Yeah. And let's call it a wrap,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Austin, bravo, bravo. I love it. All right. So good night, everyone. I'm ending the stream now. God bless you all. God bless you. Bye-bye.